right, just generally speaking, what do you think of the effort against UCF from your guys?
Generally speaking, I thought it was, pretty good. Really, particularly first half, thought was even better. If you're comparing halves, I think we were, almost 100% in third downs in the first half, getting off the field and things like that. I think we executed our plan really good. Second half was got away from us a little bit, but all in all, I felt like we were, pretty good control of that game and did what we needed to do to beat them, which was limit their, they're a really explosive team, and they certainly tried a lot of explosive plays and without too much success, and we didn't give them very much, so again, they're whatever 170 some yards under their per game average and 18 points under their per game average. So at the end of the day, you got to take some satisfaction in that.
I think this was the first game you guys have allowed a 100-yard rusher and won since getting here. How much of that was just a product of the way the game went, and how much of it was whatever was happening on defense?
Yeah, well, they still ran the ball, I think, 38 times. I mean, they made a commitment to run it, and the guy really had one long run that really probably makes that yardage total, it inflates it a little bit. So again, that's a team that averaged 255 yards a game rushing, and so we knew they were good and explosive, and I think one of the things that was a good result was our tackling was much better. We had 22 missed tackles against Texas. I think we were maybe 10 against these guys. So again, I think all those things kind of play together and help us get a victory.
Right, when you watch Oklahoma State, they've settled on a quarterback now. What do you see from them offensively?
Yeah, I think they've settled kind of into what they're going to be offensively a little bit. Yeah, they kind of had different quarterbacks in and out of there early. They've kind of got there. I think they've got their guy. I think they've moved a lot of pieces around in the offensive line for whatever reason, and they probably have settled on that as well in terms of where guys are at. So, and you think they're trying to establish an identity of what they're going to be about. And talking to somebody, I think they're somewhat like I would hope to be on defense, which is know who they are, not try to do too much, don't try to get outside of themselves, execute what they do really well, and make good decisions. And I think that's what they're trying to do on offense, and I think they obviously witnessed by the last game they're kind of finding their groove a little bit in that area. And so they haven't been overly really explosive so far this year, but in a lot of ways comparable to some other teams we might have played. But I still think they've got good personnel and good talent, and they're a really capable offense.
Something we talked about on Monday was the depth emerging at linebacker. Can you kind of walk us through that from your perspective?
Yeah,
Who's kind of showing up?
I think we play pretty faithfully. We'll play 6 different guys out there every week, and some of them are rotational players. They'll kind of split reps at a position. Some of them are more package players where they'll be in certain defensive calls that we have. So I just feel like it's a kind of a credit to the recruiting that we've done, to the development. Chris Simpson, linebacker, is really developing guys and elevating their level of play. So I think all those things factor together, and really, again, I think that's what you want. You want multiple guys at a position that can go play, that there's not going to be serious drop off, and they know that on a daily basis they've got to keep competing in order to continue to play in those ways. So I think those are all good things, and I'm happy for that. And that's kind of been the case in a lot of our positions. We've significantly improved our depth and the quality of the depth that we have.
Give Andy credit for this one, but a stat: 17 sacks through 6 games, most since 2009 here. Especially in light of losing Lonnie, how proud are you of that number, and where do you think it's come from most?
Sure. Well, we probably sat in here at some point in the past and said, we're still looking for some guys to emerge, and I feel like we have had some guys emerge, and Jeremy Robinson's done a really good job, and Austin Booker is proven kind of exceeded some expectations in terms of where he's at right now, at least. So, you know, we've put guys like J.B. Brown and kind of made him a rusher in some of the third down package stuff. So, yeah, I'm happy about that, because that's obviously, if you looked at us in the past, you know that we weren't a very explosive defense either. We had had a hard time creating negative plays and getting ourselves ahead of the sticks, and we've been able to do a lot better job of that. Now we've got to finish the deal, because we've got to play a lot better third down defense than we do sometimes also. But I think we had a good taste of that in the first half, and then in the second half last week we were, you know, probably stopped them once on third down. So we've still haven't put that all together yet, but I feel like it's coming in there, and certainly I'm sure that teams that are preparing for us, yeah, they need to know that we're doing a pretty good job in that area, and I hope that causes them some concern.
I think it's eight different guys have at least a half a sack.
Yeah.
Is there an advantage to that versus having, hey, Lonnie's their sack guy, we got a key on him? When you can get it from so many different places, does that help you?
Yeah, sure. Certainly it does. You know, that you can't. I'm sure if you just had one guy, there's all kinds of things you can do with your pass protection you're always turning your protection to that player, so that if one guy gets beat, there's another. You can take a back or a tight end and chip that player so that he's, negate some of his rush. So the fact that you can have pieces, hopefully, inside but also outside, that you just can't key on one player, I think is what a great advantage, right? And we've got some sacks off of some pressures, but a lot of our sacks come from just straight rushing, which is even better, because then you can play more coverage on the back end and feel a little bit safer and sounder that way too.
Just going back to the linebacker thing real quick, Jason had that sack where he chased the quarterback to the sideline. We heard you showed the team like the reps of him doing that blitz in practice versus in the game. Just what was it about that made you want to show it as an example to the...
Well, because we always talk every day. I would stand in front of the defense every day at the start of our unit meeting, and we talk about scheme stuff, but we talk about other stuff also. And one of those things is effort and strain and finish and being relentless in those areas. And so, yeah, there was a practice rep during the week, which as we watch it as a staff, and all of a sudden, man, the guy jumps out at you like he blitzed in there, put his foot in the ground, turned and sprinted like 30 yards downfield. And so, we commented on that play during the week, is like last Wednesday. And then we get into the game and run the exact same pressure, and he blitzes in there and they throw a screen and he puts his foot in the ground and sprints and, tracks a guy down from behind. So to me, it's confirmation of, hey, if what you develop habits either way, right? So if your habits are this in practice, look, the results are going to be this in the game. And I thought it was just a great, for everybody, a good message for everybody about, that's it right there, right? That's the standard. That's what we're looking for. So that was really good.
When you look at OSU's running back in Ollie Gordon, does he remind you of any backs that you've seen?
I don't know. I think he's big, strong, kind of a one-cut guy. He was able to fend off some tacklers against Kansas State and on some of his bigger runs. So, I'm sure. I don't know if he reminds me of really anybody that I would just tell you about right now. But obviously, he's got a couple 100-yard games in a row here. So he's finding his zone, and he's anybody like that. You got to be a solid tackler, because he's just not going to go down with a shoulder or a hand, and then we just got to get other guys there and rally to the ball. So he's certainly somebody that's a concern that we talked, and we know we got to one of the ways that we're going to beat them is to really limit him. So
You mentioned there, but kind of the game tackling aspect. What are the keys to having that become even more consistent over the second half of the season?
yeah, well, it's sometimes it can be do my job and then turn and try to see if I need to do something, or I can do my job and put my foot in the ground and go and figure that out on the way as I'm on the move. So I think sometimes that's the difference, is just not looking to see, just go and figure it out when you get there. So, and we got some guys that are hungry. You watch, like Marv Grant is a good example of, and he'll come out of the secondary every game, and guys kind of stopped up, but he's not quite going down, and he's gonna get a piece of that. So the more hungry the more hungry guys you have that'll do that kind of stuff. To me, that's the nature of defense, and we're getting there. We're getting there.
Lane said on Monday that Jeremy wasn't able to practice. Has he been able to do much the last few days?
He did a little bit today, and so I feel pretty good about his availability for Saturday. I guess I'll leave that up to whomever else, but you know, he was in uniform today at least, and that part's good. And you know, obviously Hayden hasn't been yet, so we'll have to see about that one. But kind of confident we'll at least get part of that crew back and you know, and playing, because obviously we need him.
And obviously on the topic of depth there at defensive end, Patrick Joyner, Dylan Brooks, just what do you think about their progression this season?
Yeah, what a opportunity for, you know, too bad for Hayden Hatcher, you know, that he can't play, or if he can't play, but some guys' disappointment and some other guys' opportunity. So hopefully those guys will step up. They've obviously, you know, they get some opportunities. They've done a pretty decent job. But you know, sometimes when a guy really sees, hey man, this is my chance, we'll see. But yeah, Patrick Joyner took 1,000,000 reps today, and those other guys, I mean, they got all kinds of reps, so it ain't gonna be for lack of practice. But yeah, it's the next man got to step up. Everybody says it all the time, but that's really it. You know, that's the next man got to step up, and we're not gonna slow down, and we're not gonna take a step backwards, because the next man's in there. We're gonna keep going, and you know, they're gonna rise to the level rather than, you know, we're not going to bring ourselves down to any other level.
Anything else, Coach Borland?